Hello, viewers. I'm SB,
And I'm Amabel.
and welcome to just a little peek into Civ 7 for Amabel. Basically, this just came out, and I wanted to capture sort of like some of your first experiences with it on camera, and also just talk about it with you, because it's going to be on the top of everybody's mind. This is not like our official look into it for 4X School or anything. The thing just came out. We're here. We're going to look at it. So let's jump into a new game, and you don't know basically anything about the structure of this thing. I'm very curious what you're going to think of it.
Not really.
So we're picking a leader here. We are to pick a leader, and then I'll talk a little bit about the overall structure.
Okay.
Do you have
who's that guy with the eyebrow? What's that guy doing?
that guy with the eyebrow?
Low. Okay. Second column, fifth one down. Who is that?
So I just want to point out that
He's
that guy with the
fun.
eyebrow, I do also think could easily apply to either of these pictures of this man. Also, that guy, he's kind of given a thing.
Yeah,
right?
I know who that is, though. That's not...
Okay. This is Niccolo Machiavelli.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
That's why he's doing that particular eyebrow. Would you like to play as Machiavelli?
I mean, I would want you to play as a...
We get bonus influence per age. We'll get 50 gold when our diplomatic action proposals are accepted, or 100 gold when they are rejected.
I mean, okay.
And he can levy troops from city-states, even if you're not their suzerain. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, do you want to... Okay, let's try that.
All right. So we can equip a memento to our man here to give him a bonus. It feels like he should have an economic attribute point, right?
Yeah, not only some of these mementos are available.
Yeah, well, I haven't unlocked most of them. So this
Is this a roguelite?
this is stuff that is unlocked through play. At the beginning, you don't have a memento. You notice we only have one memento slot unlocked. At the beginning, you don't have access to any of this stuff. And then over time, you unlock these different bonuses that you can carry with you into a game. And yeah, it's a little inspired by that kind of design, I think. This is a complaint to Ian Asir because, of course, substandard copper is unacceptable. Yeah. Did you get it? Do you get it? The people who made this game, they're also on the internet. They read the same memes that you read.
That was a history thing before it was a meme thing.
But the only reason any of us know about it is because it's a meme thing. Don't be ridiculous.
Some of us knew about it before then.
You didn't. That's not... No. Nobody did. Even Ian Asir didn't know. He never received the thing, so... Alright. So, we're going to start in the Antiquity Age. This here is a hint to the structure of the game. A game of Civilization 7 takes place over 3 kind of disconnected ages. In essence, they are sort of like 3 different smaller 4X games, each with slightly different rules. It's like when you do one of those things where you're chaining 3 board games together.
Is that a thing?
It is a thing.
Why would you do that?
I put money into a Kickstarter for... You'll see when it gets here.
Oh, no.
But yeah, we're going to start at the dawn of history here. The dawn of history, for a certain definition of the word history.
Oh, I'm already... Yep. Yeah, because we started with Civ for 4X School. With Civ 6?
Yeah.
So I'm remembering...
Yeah.
I'm remembering how I reacted to Civ 5 or Civ 6, so I'm a little apprehensive to see how they quote unquote history.
I love that 2 of these things have his picture on them. When you click on them, it's like geographic choice. That doesn't... Yeah, right. It does feel like it should have a little guitar lick. So these are the starting civilizations that are available to us.
Okay.
Rome and Greece are kind of in the area where he lived, so that makes them geographic choices. I don't know what that could possibly have to do with anything. You don't really know how to interpret this stuff. Do you want to just random it?
Um,
Or do you is there something here you want?
there's not one in particular that I want. I'm just so this seems really interesting to me because I believe like in Civ 6, like
Hmm.
if you picked Machiavelli, it'd be, you know, Italy,
Yeah,
you
they're
know. So this mix and match, like
particular leader personalities were bound to particular cultures. The thing is that in this game, sort of as in Humankind, very much like they got the idea directly from Humankind.
whoa,
When
what,
you
what a
when you
concept.
move from one age to another, you're going to adopt the set of cultures that are in the exploration age is different from the set of cultures available in antiquity, but your
Right.
leader will remain. So you'll be
Okay.
accumulating bonuses over the full game on your leader while the other stuff is changing.
See, I kind of, because my big problem with Civ, just pick a random one, whichever. Uh,
Okay.
my big problem with Civ and with historical forexes, as I've understood them so far, is like the really weird historiography, and if you're leaning into kind of, well, this isn't history. This is like some historically themed uh mash 'em up. It, it doesn't uh make me as agitated about it. In
Unfortunately,
theory.
they will continually insist that this is history to the point where they're
Oh
going
no.
geographic choice. Because who gives a shit if the Roman Empire and Niccolo Machiavelli were approximately at the same latitude and longitude, a thousand years apart or whatever.
I mean, but of course, like,
It's still very much doing that Civ thing where it's trying to derive a kind of prestige from pretending to be history rather than
yeah.
historical theming on top of a bucket of other
A
stuff.
new banner unfurls, emblazoned with triumphal laurels. Rome seeks its champions.
And it finds this weedy little motherfucker. So, what is the deal? We got Roman. Romans have a tier 2 unique infantry unit, which gets bonus combat strength for every tradition in their government, gets a unique commander unit that gains a charge to create a new settlement for every 3 levels it has. That's interesting. So, an army commander that can settle new cities.
Hmm.
The Basilica, which gives gold and influence adjacency for culture buildings and wonders. And the Temple of Jupiter, which gives happiness and culture adjacency for happiness buildings and wonders.
Is that a
These
little smiley
seem fine.
face?
Yeah, happiness.
Was that the symbol of happiness? Was there happiness previously? Was that
Well,
the
there's
symbol?
approval previously. This resource has been in the game and prominent since Civ 5, but it's changed appearance and
So that reminds me of the board game Through the Ages, which is basically Vladil. I can't remember the guy's name. The designer you like.
okay.
Is
Vladich Vadel is not the designer I like. He's a designer I like.
okay, but it's his version of Sid Meier's Civilization.
Yeah, Vladich
And it
Vadel,
has
Sid
little
Meier's
smiley
Civilization.
faces. Yeah.
Okay, so welcome home. We have a founder here who can found a city. You will recognize a lot of this looks real familiar already, right?
Hmm.
This game is doing some things pretty differently. The first thing that's happening here is that you remember in the previous Civ games, you would have your citizens assigned to tiles. Your points of population would be assigned to tiles to work them, and you could move them around and work
Yeah.
different yields and whatever. This game approaches that concept a little bit differently, where a point of population commits to a tile in a sort of a more permanent way and builds an improvement on the tile automatically. I am going to... Man, I don't know if we want to be coastal. There's not a lot of resources around here, but the tiles themselves are pretty okay. There's also not a lot of industry, I'm noticing. No, there's a hammer up there. I'm a little nervous about it, if I'm honest. I think maybe starting here is better. Okay, no, there are resources around. They were just not visible with the settler selected for But that's when you most want to see them.
That's an interesting choice.
Amabel, this. Okay, so the UI, there are problems with the UI. The UI is bad, but for right now, let's just put down our city. As soon as the UI will stop fighting me about it. Okay, so behold, Roma, the cultural center of the Roman people. We did it. We did the thing. Food production science. You're familiar with all of these. I'm going to try to blaze us through some of this tutorial stuff because there really is a ton of it and it's awful. But check this shit out. First of all, this is what the tutorial dialog boxes look like. Completely unstyled. It's wild. It has a minimize button. What do you think happens to it if I click minimize?
It gets bigger.
No, it does this.
What? Why?
It stays perfectly centered on your screen. Doesn't let you see shit.
No.
Okay, so
Can you click and drag it, move it
Nope.
at all? Like,
nope, it does not.
oh,
Click and
that's-
drag is an interaction method that is completely unused in this game, as far as I can tell. Let's go ahead and make a scout. You know, we love to look around. While the lands surrounding your city are visible, the rest of the world remains unrevealed. They're explaining to us the basic concept of moving a unit around on the map. This one we kind of got. All right, so here's what happens when you gain population in this game. Never mind, it's going to decide to... I hate the tutorial UI. We'll get past it. There is a cave over here that we might want to explore, so let's send our explorer that way.
now you've seen the tutorial before.
Yes, I did not think that it was going to display it on a second game, because why the fuck would it do that?
Yeah, I was gonna ask if it was a choice that you made to hurt me.
So we have a sort of a basic tech tree here. You can see it's
Okay.
much shorter than in the previous games because, again, this is just sort of the ancient period of the game. You can see we hit future tech sometime after like ironworking and mathematics to give you an idea of the sort of like period of historical capture here. We do have access to the water. Like, sailing is not totally out of line for us, but I wonder if something else might be better. Also, on all of the menus, an errant right click will close things, which is really annoying because of my twitchy hand thing, which sometimes causes an errant right click. So I'm trying to hold my mouse in a particular way with the right side of my hand far away from it as far as possible.
You know, you wouldn't have this problem if you're playing with the controller.
I suppose that's true. You've got me there. You know what? I'm going to pick up pottery first. Research takes time to complete. Science works the way it works in every Civ game. Okay. Yep, when you're done, it is so interested in babying you. Okay. So here's what happens when you get a point of population. You pick a tile for that point of population to move on to, and that point of population turns it into a rural exploitation tile, and you'll build like a basic improvement that is appropriate to the terrain. Usually a farm if there's nothing special on it, woodcutter if it's forested, fishing boats if it's a watery tile, a quarry here where there is kaolin. We're gonna go ahead and take that first because resources is good.
It's so weird to me that they would baby so much, because I understand there's some new concepts in the game, some new things they're doing. They want to make sure they're orienting.
Well, a core part of Civ's audience is people who play very few video games except for Civ.
Yeah, so that's the thing though. Like, who is buying Civ 7 who has not played a previous Civ? There are some people, obviously. You don't want to cut people out, but this level
new people are constantly being born. New versions all the time. It's crazy.
And they should play better.
So we picked up a resource here. So this is a kind of a new system. It has been the case for a while that picking up like luxury resources would give you approval or whatever. But the way this works, the way like these tiles with resources on them work now, is they create a copy of the resource, and then your settlements have some number of resource slots in them, and you assign the resources to the cities to provide their benefit. So you get a lot more sort of like customization out of them in this way.
All right.
This system I actually rather like.
Yeah, that's neat.
I think this is cool. And it gives you like some obvious value to multiples of a thing, because you could, use multiple charges of it in the same city or spread it out. Or
I mean, I like them giving you more levers to pull. I mean, that's really the appeal of these games, I think, to a degree, is the amount of lever pulling.
So we can build some more units, or we can build our first building here. Buildings also take up spaces on the map. Okay, please stop. Oh my god. Stop. Trying so hard to show you the thing. So you can see we can build this onto one of these tiles. When you build a building onto a tile, it turns it into an urban exploitation tile. And the difference between urban exploitation and rural exploitation will get explained a little bit more later. But mostly the big important thing is that they can't coexist. If you build a building on top of a rural exploitation, it removes the rural to put the urban down. So this building, the granary, gives +1 food, and then it makes all of your farms, pastures, and plantations also give +1 food. It'll be good to have it later. We'll put it down somewhere. Here is fine. Okay, and then we will keep looking around. I think I vanished that cave by extending our territory over it, because it is gone. That's weird. Well, let's just look around. So, the map looks pretty much like a Civ game map.
Yeah.
Okay, we've encountered a stranger from the village of Guthuida. They appear to be hostile. So, they have merged a couple of systems here. We have these independent villages. There are no longer just barbarian spawns. Any spawn that you get comes from somewhere, and that place has a name and, a culture, and you can interact with them and do diplomacy and stuff. No more just like nameless. That's a barbarian man, and his only thing in life is to die and to kill. That said, these guys are hostile, and they are going to cause us problems. These 3 scouts are all from different neutral villages, different independent villages, and they are all in hostile mode, all threatening us. So not a great start in a lot of ways. Where are y'all? Where are your villages? Jeez.
I mean, if this keeps up, we might get a full game in this episode.
I'm not too worried about the independent scouts here. We're building another farm here. We got another point of population, so we built out another farm, and obviously it'll get better once the granary is improved. I am just looking around trying to find where this first scout came from, because it was somewhere to our south, right? But it looks like they're kind of all around us. I bet if we just strike out in any direction for a decent distance, we'll see some independent state or another. How many turns into the game was it when we ran into them? They can't be very far, right?
Yeah.
So you can see we are slowly accumulating resources and stuff up here.
Yeah.
Pretty standard Civ resources. We have now influence, which again works very much like amplitude style influence, where it's used for diplomatic deals and it's used for like impressing your will on your population and stuff.
It does seem from what... Now, I've only seen 2 of the Amplitude games, obviously. I haven't seen Humankind yet, but it does seem like they have borrowed a fair amount.
Yes, I would say so.
Like, I'm surprised that Horatio isn't a leader.
When you direct your people to live on a rural tile, they create a structure to work the land called an improvement. Some policies, unique abilities, and buildings will improve improvement yields, like we were talking about with the granary, improving farms and whatnot. So we got ourselves some horses here. Horses are an empire level resource.
Okay.
They don't improve a city. They just give a sort of like a broad bonus. Cavalry units get +1 combat strength with an additional +1 against infantry units. Okay. Pretty good. What's up?
Just the way it models military stuff. I'm remembering from the previous game. I'm dreading in this game. I'm someone who, it doesn't come up super often, I feel like, in our 4X series, but my background was designing, like, military battle games, historical games, so thinking about the different kinds of military technology, different kind of troops, how they interact, has been, like, at a kind of crunchy level, has been a significant portion of my life's work, so seeing the thing where cavalry is just +1 against infantry. Oh, I hate that. I hate that so much. So much.
Well, I mean, that's just a bonus. It's just it gives cavalry units a +1 again. How complicated do you need everything to be? A bonus can't just give +1 against a thing?
I
feel like you're just being difficult for the sake of being difficult here. Maybe calm down. All right, so this is the one of the critical parts of the new design, this legacy path system. So there are 4 different legacy paths in each age, and this is a terrible way of presenting them because they make you choose one before you know what this stuff even really means. I'm just going to click this, and we're going to click, focus on your trade empire or whatever. Okay, let's close that. Close all this, close all the pop-ups they try to send us on, and then click over here on this age progress screen and actually come to terms with the thing. They do a terrible job of catching you up with what's going on here, in my opinion. So, we can see in the top corner of the screen here, we are now at 6% of age progress. The antiquity age will end at 200 age progress. It is turn 12. Every 2 turns adds 1 progress to the meter, okay? In addition, there are certain milestones the players can hit that will add more age progress to the meter. By the time the age progress thing runs out, you want to have significantly achieved on some of these legacy paths in order to unlock legacy points that will give you powerful bonuses and upgrades for the next age. So this is the way you're sort of like seeding your one way that you're sort of seeding your progress forward. So to gain points on the culture legacy path, you build world wonders. If you build 7 world wonders, you get all the way to the end of the thing here, and you unlock a huge bonus for the next age. But after you've built 2, you'll get a legacy point. After you build another 2, you'll get another legacy point. And then at 7, you'll get the full bonus. And each one of the paths sort of works like that, where it's counting something, and you'd like to hit an end value before we run out of time. So for culture, it's build 7 world wonders. For the military, Pax Imperatoria bonus, have 12 towns or cities in your empire. Conquered settlements count double. So obviously, it gives you a way to play expansionist, but in particular, it promotes you taking stuff from people. Science is the science goal is to display 10 codices in your empire. This is a sort of a clumsily explained thing, but basically these are like the great works from Civ 6. When you research certain things on the tech tree, you will just gain a codex. Like if you research this, where is one? Here, you can see the bonuses for this research are +1 movement for siege units, and you get a codex. And then you have to have a slot to display the codex somewhere in your empire. Your Capitol building has one. Libraries have more. So gain and display 10 codices to get all the way up the science track here. And the economics track is assign 20 resources to settlements. And we've already got one of those done. You've seen that system already. So these are sort of like the 4 victory conditions of the age.
Okay.
In a like a pretty board gamey kind of way, right?
Yeah.
Then you have this tracker, which will show you like where all the players you've met, how advanced they are on each of those things, and then this pretty whack legacy points screen. You'll see when there are more players on it, the way in which it is it looks to me like it's probably bugged. I think it's not supposed to display the way that it's displaying, but it does look pretty bad the way it's currently displaying. So
that is really interesting, though, this system. And you know what else is interesting?
What's that?
Cavalry was really only effective against infantry for a very short period of human history, like in the Middle Ages and maybe like early gunpowder.
Uh-huh. No, go on.
That's really
I'm not trying to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No. I know. I get. Like, I understand when they're working at this scale, working at one of the scales they work at, that you can't really have a lot of granular detail, but it's just it's a pet peeve, I guess. It's a thing that bothers me, not as much as some of the, I'll say this, so far there's not been a whole lot of like random dumb quotes that someone got off of Google.
No, they're all there. It's just as many.
Just haven't encountered as many yet.
Well, I mean, I skipped past one because you were talking when it happened.
Oh, okay.
All right. So also, kind of like Civ 6, there is a civics tree that is just the culture equivalent of the tech tree. Works exactly the same way. You're gaining culture and science. One of them goes into one tree, one of them goes into the other. They've done a weird thing where each civilization has its own little baby civics tree alongside the civics tree for the age.
Okay, that kind. All right.
Which is where you get your unique buildings and stuff from.
Yeah.
It's a little weird. Seems like a strange thing to me. But let's pick up mysticism. Let's get ourselves some pantheon here, some religion, some what passes for religion in this period of the game. You can now build settlers, and I think we probably should build a settler.
Okay, I think I should ask.
I would like to have another city down here where all these resources are gathered up together.
The secondary tech tree for civics that was in Civ 6 and is in this game, is that something that's common throughout the Civ games or common throughout historical 4Xs? Okay.
Well, common throughout historical 4X is a little bit trickier of a question for me. I don't know as much about all of the historical 4Xs because it's not really a primary area of interest. But Civ has not always had that. There's a sort of kind of tree of bonuses thing available in Civ 5, but it is not like you do not have a civics tree that is the mirror of the tech tree in the way that you do in 6 and 7. All right, so we'll need to establish a government before we can enact social policies. Each form of government has its own unique effects, and this is what those are. So there are 3 kinds of government, and what they do is they set what bonuses you get during a celebration. Happiness accumulates into a big pile in a place that you cannot see. It's simply not in the UI. And whenever the pile hits a certain threshold value, everybody in the Civ will throw a party for 10 turns. And your government determines what it is exactly that happens during that party. So despotism, famously, a very science-forward kind of government. Help you get your science on.
I I mean, this just a non sequitur.
Yeah, it's
This
just a bunch of history words jammed together because, yeah.
An oligarchy doesn't necessarily increase
take
food
it.
production either.
I'm gonna take science despotism. That's gonna be our focus here.
All right.
All right. So, under your new government, you may enact.
Did Dr. Doom make this game?
Under your new government, you may enact a social policy. Complete civics throughout the age to earn more policies. So choose your first social policy. We have a slot here. We have a couple of things available here. Do you want +2 culture on the palace or +1 production and +1 science on the palace?
Gosh.
Okay, it's production.
I don't have
By
it.
the way, I bet you thought that was a click and drag interface. Click and drag, not a method of interaction this game is interested in. It is always just click. All right, if you want to swap a policy, you need to research a civic. This is a kind of a nonsensical mode that exists probably entirely because that's how it worked in 6. Like, there's no obvious reason that those two things would be bound together, but they are. And then here's the thing that is pretty new to the Civ games that is 100% just directly lifted from Humankind. Sometimes events that occur in the world will lead to you getting some kind of little narrative beat here and a choice attached to it. A worker files a complaint about stolen tools. The accused thief, however, claims to have found the tools discarded in a public place. Does that not make them unowned? So we can order the tools returned, which will create 50 happiness toward the next celebration, or finders keepers shall be the whole of the law, which causes us to gain 50 gold?
I actually kind of love the text of finders keepers shall be the whole of the law. Like,
yeah,
what?
that's funny. That's funny on
What
purpose.
child wrote that? But I think I don't.
I'm gonna take the happiness. I'm gonna take the happiness.
Yeah.
All right, we are continuing to explore. We still have not found hide nor hair of the city-states. We're seeing a wide variety of resources, though, which is cool. Lots of places to settle. It does feel like, to me, and you can tell me if I'm maybe off base here. It feels to me a little bit like there's something missing in terms of the system feedback. Like, I'm going to press the next turn button here. And, like, some animations play, stuff moves in. It became my turn at some point during that sequence. Did you know when? Did you notice what the moment was?
No.
Right, it doesn't, like, it all just feels very
Yeah.
squishy. It feels like there's a lot of feedback missing. So we've discovered Hattusa, which I think we can interact with. Oh, right, we have an economic leader attribute point that we came into the game with and we didn't distribute. Your leader has a bunch of skill trees, basically 6 of them, in case you needed those. We brought a point for one of them. We should be getting 1 gold per age on our palace and on our city halls. Cool. I cannot believe that's the implementation for that. What are they doing? The thing is, I try really hard not to show up ready to hate. Like, that's not my thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to be mad at the thing, but there really are. The UI in particular has some stuff where it's just like, I don't understand how it got out the door like this.
Yeah, so let me say 2 things about that. Let me say, first of all, in my experience, you are the person I know who is the most open to wanting to like a thing and give it a fair shot. Not in a way where, like, you suspend your judgment. Like, you have standards and tastes, but, like, you absolutely come into things wanting to like them. Unless they're old movies that I'm showing you.
I try.
But I know you try, sweetheart. But the other thing I wanted to say is that something that we commented on a lot during the Civ 6 playthrough in Forex School is, like, there is a level of craft to the UI, to the feedback, to the feel of the thing. And it's really surprising to have that be absent or be
Yeah,
kind of muddy here.
usually that's the thing Firaxis is pretty good at.
Yeah, that's really surprising to me. And
Hey, Amabel, we've met a new civilization. I'm going to click this button.
cool.
So, here we meet. And I gotta ask myself, you gonna be my friend or my foe?
As Harriet Tubman did famously say to Niccolo Machiavelli upon their first meeting. So we're allowed to just do nothing here. We can also spend 20 influence in order to intentionally sabotage the relationship for, as far as I can tell, no reason, or to be friendly and gain 20 relationship. I guess this one has the downside that it potentially reveals your city to them, but like she can already see our city. I don't think it's a big deal. And then now that we've met Harriet Tubman, leader of the Mayan civilization, we can spend influence to do diplomacy in a very like simplified way. There's no like, we're not composing a deal here. It's just like there are buttons and they have costs. This system's kind of interesting though. So these endeavors are things that you embark on with the consent of the other player, and they have like a couple of different levels of consent basically. So like we can say, hey, let's open our markets. I send this to her, and it costs her nothing to accept it. If she accepts it, I get 4 gold per turn, she gets 2 gold per turn. She can match my influence spend in order to support it, in which case, instead, we both receive 6 gold per turn. Or she can pay a much lower influence cost to deny it and have it not come into play at all. And there's a couple of different versions of these. There's one for culture, there's one for happiness, and you get access to different ones by researching different civics and stuff. I think this system's kind of neat, actually. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to push some open markets with her. We could all use money, right? Okay, she just accepts. She lets the base version of that thing happen. She did not put in her own resources.
Okay.
Do we want the happiness one too? Yeah, we'll try it. Okay, she spent influence to support on that one, so we both get the more powerful version. Lots more happiness for the big pile of happiness. Now I said you can't see where the happiness is building up. Look at the tooltip for this. But if you do, it is true, if you mouse over view your social policies here, it does tell you the number of turns to the next celebration. I just meant that it's not like visible at all. Like if this thing has a mouse over, it should just have one of these wheels, right? Where it tells you, how, like you can see it filling up and you can see how far until the next thing. I don't know why they didn't do that there. Now it sounded like you had something to say.
Oh, I think first of all, I'll say, if you're gonna put historical figures into things, which is what this game's deal is.
Yeah.
I think it is cool and rad that it's not all a bunch of white dudes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also, there's something that, and maybe this is just me, but there's something that's
The
a
river
little
there is like our veins,
strange
the
about
veins of the world.
having someone who worked in opposition to overt political power in an overtly political role. But I guess this series has done that all along.
Well, the thing is, the people who make Civ
Gandhi.
do not see themselves as being aligned with the forces that Harriet Tubman was fighting against. They see themselves as being in opposition to those forces, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem strange to them. So we discovered, first of all, the Grand Canyon, and also an active volcano. So that's interesting.
neat.
So +2 science on flat terrain in a settlement that includes the Grand Canyon, and also the Grand Canyon tiles themselves have a lot of culture and happiness. That's interesting. I didn't see any natural wonders in the other game that I have partially played. Now, I should point out also another use of influence. Obviously, we can use it to make deals with the other player here. Yes, thank you. This is the leader screen. We can also make contact with the minor factions here, these independents, and attempt to befriend them and stuff. Unfortunately, I believe you have to have seen their capital to, like, we don't know where these guys are from, and so we can't do it. It shows an influence cost of -1, but it's definitely not supposed to. But we've seen, like, Hattusa. So if we go to Hattusa here, yeah, we can properly see it would cost 170 influence to begin to befriend them. And that's like a whole process. It takes time, and they have different types. This one is an economic independent people. This is a system that, you know, it was the case in Civ 5 and 6 that city-states had types, you know, cultural, economic, etc. I assume that affects, like, the bonuses you get when you befriend them. I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't befriend any in the other game I've been playing. So that's the thing that we can maybe play around with here. I am going to move our scout away from this active volcano real quick. And we are still working on that settler. I don't actually know if the independent factions scouts will attempt to attack our settler or not. I'm hoping that they won't. Oh, we should actually, another thing we should do is, since we met somebody, we should pop in here and, yep, I already did some stuff. We should pop in here and have a look at her agenda. So this is a very simplified version of a system that existed in Civ 6, which was kind of a complicated exposure of a system that kind of existed in Civ 5. But she likes leaders that start formal wars and dislikes those that start surprise wars. That's a way that they're trying to express an idea about honesty. The ability is called veracity, but it's a little clumsy. Also, veracity is not okay. It's fine. Whatever.
I mean, look, there have been times when I need to have so many cards in a game, and those cards have to have effects, and they have to have like a historical thing tied to it, and sometimes you gotta stretch.
Yeah.
That's why I stopped doing games like that.
So I was planning to settle just like along this river that's over here, but now I kind of think the game is right. I kind of like this tile because there's this string of resources up here, and it can still reach down and grab the stuff down here by the other river. So yeah, I think I would like to settle here.
But, you know, I recognize in games like this, you want the texture. You want all the little bonuses and nuances and things and the ways they combine and interact. Like, you want as much of that as possible. And I guess if you're using this history theme, you want to try to tie it to the history as much as you can.
So here's an interesting concept that the game does not explain at all, and it took me a while to grasp in my other game. The urban districts, as you can see, they have 2 circles in them. You can place 2 urban buildings alongside each other. Each one only takes up half of the tile.
Oh.
And so you have like additional adjacencies, basically, in that, you know, a building can be adjacent to the 6 tiles around it, and it's also adjacent to the other building that's in its tile.
That's neat.
And also, you know, then some of the civilizations have special kinds of doing this is called making a quarter. The tile becomes starts being called a quarter, and some of the civilizations have unique quarters that you get when you place certain kinds of buildings together. And when you form them, the quarter does some additional thing, which I think is a really cool idea. That's a legitimately interesting thing.
2 circles, 1 tile. That's neat.
I love it when the tiles have circles. Oh, hey, we hit the happiness bonus. Now we get to choose our celebration. So, Do we want 20 science or production toward training infantry units? I don't intend to train any infantry units in the next 10 turns. I'm hoping to just be building, buildings and settlers and stuff.
We
So
love the Tyrant Day.
Let's take that science bonus. By the way, Amabel, I want you to just look at the UI here. One of these two buttons is selected. Can you tell which one?
I mean,
Yeesh.
is it the one with the really faint light around? Like that's too subtle. I'm sorry. That's not correct.
Again, it really feels to me like they are like there's a bug or something going on. Something's not rendering correctly. Because you wouldn't do that on purpose. All right, rumors abound that the Maya technology is decades ahead of the rest of the world. If we are to remain relevant to the scientific community, we should find a way to increase our own science output. Yeah, I put us on the second highest difficulty. So if we look at their yields, I can mouse over here and we can just see the raw total yields. She is 6 points ahead of us in science per turn, 4 points ahead of us in culture per turn, 10 points ahead of us in happiness. It's just it's those difficulty bonuses.
Okay.
We're also trailing in civics because, is what it is. I don't think it's worth stressing about. Okay, to try to use my scout to sort of make sure that the path is clear for the settler. I have to admit, I'm a little surprised. Settlers and scouts are the same kind of unit. I guess they're both considered to be military units in this game. They both have the square. I was kind of expecting the settler and the scout to be able to occupy the same tile, since that's a thing you've been able to do in Civ for some time, but I guess not here. Okay, I mean, whatever. So there is a like a concept of navigating up and down rivers. In the older Civ games, moving onto river tiles is quite expensive, and it can be a real pain in the ass if you need to follow a path that goes along a river. They did, I think, some version of this in 6, and of course it exists in Humankind. But in this game, they have a very obvious system for moving up or moving along the river that I appreciate. It makes it a lot easier to navigate in some of the places where you most want to navigate.
Yeah, because the idea of rivers being more difficult to move on is about crossing the river, not about... And do you know how we solve this in a lot of Hex Encounter board games, like war games?
Yeah, the rivers go between the tiles, right? The rivers are a border.
On the Hex sides, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very obvious solution, and actually gives you some more texture, because then you can have something where you're paying the river cost plus the cost for, say, the woods or the elevation.
But see, they want to be able to do
area.
They want to be able to do this thing where the river can have variable degrees of navigability, and it can actually take up the tile because it is as it approaches, the delta or whatever, which is a more complicated idea that does require the rivers to be in the tiles.
Yeah.
And I do think it's kind of cool, actually.
We do that in Hex Encounter games too. You'll have major rivers and minor rivers, but yeah, I'm not being a
but like it shouldn't just. But like the major rivers are minor rivers, right? And just at different points in the river.
Yeah. Well, that's it. You have like. Okay.
It's me, the civilization defender. Got your ass. So this is the thing. I haven't quite figured out what's up with this yet. Sometimes certain units and buildings are not available for purchase. Why is it that we can only buy military units and not a settler? Is it because there's a settler out right now? If so, it sure would be sick if they told us that that's what the problem is.
Is there a Civipedia for this one?
There is. It's borderline useless.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Rad.
They do tell you about it. They're like, hey, feel free to look stuff up. And then the first time you look something up, you're like, wow, that's less information than I already had.
I lost information looking at it.
They desperately claw
Things
it back
in
from
the
you.
world. But it is in this one.
I feel like that quote is used in Civ 6, isn't it?
I don't remember.
Anyway, we've learned how to found a pantheon, so that's something. We picked up a new policy that gives plus gold in our settlements, and we've learned how to build an altar, which produces happiness, you know, like religion does.
The spoken word conquers all thought, but the written word commands it.
Not that I'm trying to suggest anything about the nature of religion.
Well, here's the thing about the nature of religion in history is that usually...
Hunapu has erupted.
re-
Damage is severe.
Oh, wow.
Pretty sick. I'm glad we weren't still over there. Although I kind of wish we were
Yeah.
still over there because I want to see the damage. Sorry, go on.
Oh, it's just me nitpicking again. It's not going to be enjoyable for everyone.
All right, we have encountered some buildings. I found a camp here. Hunters have perfected a recipe for curing meat so it does not spoil. Perfect for travelers enduring prolonged journeys. So we can study that and gain 45 science, or we can enjoy the food, plus 30 food to roam. This is kind of like a whack way to... I like the idea of finding these little narrative beats with the decisions in them, but it can't be shit like this. Like, this would be life-changing information
Yeah.
for all the people of your civilization. It can't be stuff that's this big. The people who make Civ are like, they are so chronically incapable of understanding the scope of things. We'll take the science, I guess.
I think
don't
that's
know, food is also
probably
good.
my biggest problem with Civ 6 and what I've seen so far of this, more than like the kind of lib-brained imperialism, is the scope and scale being so out of whack.
Yeah, just very, very different at different times. A famous young poet composes a work about Roman history and pens a gory chapter about a necromantic witch. Some say such unholy topics are outside the bounds of taste, although his peers argue such details add thrills to the narrative. We can tell him to tone it down, which produces more culture, not less, or more gore, because everyone loves gore. At least this one makes sense. We should take the culture,
Yeah.
though, right? This is like a couple turns of culture.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that that's the objectively wrong, like, choice in
Yeah.
this situation.
I mean, it makes sense in like the history of Rome because, once Augustus took over during like the Principate, he really slammed down on like bawdy and gory stuff in the arts, and as he was like the head patron of the arts, like a lot of cultural stuff flourished, but it was very repressive. And so like I kind of get it. It's bad. I don't like it. I think it's not well thought out, but like I kind of get the idea, but it does also inhabit the ideas about culture being high art, refined art, and not for popular taste, and that sucks so much ass.
You think that's what they were going for?
I mean, I am imagining a world where they thought about it.
Okay. So, you notice here we have this mastery available for writing. A lot of technologies and civics have this like little hanging thing off of the bottom of them, like a one branch tree growing out of the bottom, where it's just like you could spend 6 more turns on writing and get from that a bonus of +1 science on all your science buildings, and also a codex, and also the ability to perform the steel technological advancement action on other people's civs. This is a weird thing. I don't know what I think of this exactly yet, but I don't think it's a thing we need to pursue right now. Let's, we have a lot of rivers. Let's get irrigation, because I think gardens would be awfully nice for us. Also, you will notice +1 settlement limit here. So we're going to need animal husbandry for that. We do have a settlement limit. It is a soft limit here. Like a lot of other modern 4Xs, if you go above your prescribed number of settlements, it causes a happiness penalty in all your settlements. -5 happiness per settlement is actually fairly steep. In this game, it's hard to really build up huge amounts. Like, we have 12 here, and that's pretty good, but most of our settlements will not be anywhere near that level. Okay. So we also have to choose a civic. We got mysticism. Public life will give us access to. So a lot of what the civics do is they give you wonders to build, because there have to be a lot of wonders because you have players racing to 7 wonders in this first era.
Okay.
Mostly I wanted the Pantheon thing from the mysticism branch, so I'm not strongly inclined in any direction from there. The Oracle will give us 10 extra culture per age whenever we take rewards from a narrative event, which is kind of cool, I guess. The Code of Laws will let us build merchants. That's pretty valuable, actually. So why don't we go to Discipline and then Code of Laws, because trade routes, It turns out trade is valuable. Okay, we get to select a Pantheon here. The Pantheon is the extent of the concept of religion in the first age of the game. It doesn't go there's no idea of religions being founded, of more complex belief systems emerging, of that fight that you see between religions in Civ 6. All of that stuff is saved for the exploration age game. In this game, religion is just a single choice that you make that informs the resource that comes out of the altar.
Huh.
Which is, I think, a strange decision.
Yeah.
So you can see here, 3 influence on the altar. The altar gets happiness adjacency from mountains and stuff. Plus plus food from farms, pastures, and plantations in settlements with an altar. 10% production toward buildings in cities with an altar. I don't know that I think that we have anything particularly exciting here. Our cities aren't highly specialized toward anything in particular. So I might just, the altar receives +1 happiness for coast, lake, and navigable river tiles. We do have kind of a lot of navigable water. And the lake right here with the capital, and then our new city is near the coast. It doesn't have quite as much navigable river, though. And there's some over here on this side. So Sacred Waters seems like okay, maybe, or just God of the Sun, +1 every resource on the altar, I think is also fun. I'll just take that. Okay, that volcano is a lively one. So we're going to put down a town here. This is another new concept for this game. Your people have made a new home, providing you with your first town. Like a city, food from this settlement allows you to expand into nearby tiles. However, buildings and units in towns can only be purchased with gold. Towns effectively don't get any benefit from their production. You can spend gold to turn a town into a full-fledged city, and the cost is greater the more cities you have in your civilization. As the town grows, the cost to bump it up to city status gets lower. So, eventually it sort of grows into its identity. But right now, it would be 600 gold to flip this to a full city. And in the interim, the only way to put stuff up here is to pay a gold cost. I don't know what I think of this system.
Yeah.
It seems real weird and arbitrary.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what problem they were solving.
I'm not sure either. You know, I'm trying not to just completely always do the nerd thing where I'm like, what does this simulate? What does this represent? Because setting that aside, let's look at it like as a mechanical thing.
Okay, real quick.
What?
Cities will resources that you improve on will automatically be assigned to the place that they're within the borders of. But because of what I just explained about how towns work, this resource that gives +3 production, it has literally no value here, so I reassigned it to the capital.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
But like I'm having trouble like why what is the not necessarily the benefit, but like what is the trade-off? What is the choice? What do you gain from the design having that? Like as you said, what problem are they trying to solve? But also like is that decision juicy to like, oh, do I turn it into a city or do I keep paying gold to make it a like.
All right, so I plowed a bunch of our influence into befriending Hattusa. We are currently gaining 2 points of befriendliness per turn. When we get to 60, when we get to 30 points, 15 turns from now, they will become friendly. They'll stop being potentially hostile. When we get to 23 turns into this process, they will convert into a city-state with us as their suzerain. They will bestow a gift upon us. And at 30, we'll be sort of like locked in. Other civilizations will be locked in and we'll have the ability to incorporate them into our empire formally. Other civilizations can try to, get in here and race us on this, and you have the ability to spend more influence to increase the rate at which this process is happening. So it is possible for, a couple of civilizations to duel over one of these things potentially. I don't know that I see that happening here. We don't even know if there are any other players around there. We have every reason to believe that Harriet Tubman is somewhere over here from the direction her scout approached from, so. Hattusa probably will end up ours. It's just going to be a matter of time. We have a significant blizzard developing here and heading west. Okay. Meteorology. It's a science that is well understood in this time. Absolutely flawless. So do we... I don't know that we really see another location. I guess, it's possible a city over here could be good, but I really would like to do some more exploring before we make such a call. So maybe getting a library up is good. So we'll get +1 science for each adjacent resource and another +1 science for each adjacent wonder. Right now, that doesn't give us a lot of stuff here. Obviously, this tile where we have the Cowlin and the horses adjacent to it would be the best. But like I said, this tile is already a rural advancement. So building the library here will overwrite it completely. That said, there's very little cost to doing so. If we just throw the urban thing down, it just lets us reposition that point of population.
Okay.
We just get to put them down elsewhere. I'm going to grab this so that we can reach out and grab that extra copy of horses. And we do have proper warriors coming in from this side, which is a little concerning. Maybe I should buy myself a warrior. We're 1 turn away from having animal husbandry. So animal husbandry gives us access to slingers, which probably would be the thing we would actually want to buy here.
Okay, that actually kind of makes sense. Okay.
The caged bird watches butterflies with envy.
That's been the case for like slingers are either a thing you already know at the beginning of the game, or they come with animal husbandry. I think for several Civ games now.
She read that quote very slowly.
She reads them all so slowly.
It was slowly,
so
like
weird.
kind of phonetically. It was.
All right, so it's Ibn Battuta. I've had trouble with this guy in my other game. He's a real rascal. Presumably he will be different here because he will be running a different civilization and thus will have different concerns. I mean, I would like to be friendly. They don't have a lot of lines recorded, so they just sort of like make hand gestures at each other for the later communications.
Did you want to hear a fun fact about Ibn Battuta?
Is it actually fun? Is this going to turn out to be really depressing?
Yeah.
That's basically what I want to know.
So
okay, actually fun, go for it.
The name Ibn Battuta means son of the duckling.
Okay. That's pretty fun.
That's cute. That's fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait.
You have a habit. You have a habit of saying, "Hey, do you want to hear a fun fact?" and then telling me something very depressing. It has happened on more than one occasion. It's happened on more than one occasion on camera. The viewers can back me up on this.
Viewers, get in the comments. Talk about how I'm just a ray of sunshine and a joy.
I didn't say you weren't a
At
ray of
all
sunshine
times.
and a joy. You absolutely are. But also, this thing I'm saying is true. Okay, so there are a lot of boats here. They are doing horrible boat damage to our scout. Our scout must flee. I was unprepared for how many ships with guys with bows on them there were going to be over there. They're trying to tell me that our settlement is defenseless, but I don't know what they're talking about. We got this scout right here. Speaking of defenses, hey you, get fucked. So you can see we have a when you're contemplating an attack, you have a little screen there telling you all the factors and stuff. This is pretty standard. Got him. Good work, fellas. Boy, there's a few of them, huh?
Actually, one thing that I would have liked to see from, and again, I haven't seen Humankind, which I know this is borrowing from, inspired by.
It is certainly like it's certainly the most direct point of comparison for most of these decisions. Yeah.
But the things something I really like about the Amplitude games that you've shown me, the Endless games, is the combat subsystem.
Yeah, and I think that Humankind has a pretty rad combat system for sure. Wow, that guy got fucking blasted. Did you see that? The distance that 2 full hexes represents. That person hit him with a sling bullet, and he flew back 150 miles. A battlefield nourishes the soil with iron. Deep within the layers of earth, life begins anew. Remnants of the human cost of war feed into an endless cycle of loss and revival. And we get 100 gold.
Okay.
What?
Sure. I don't even know.
Ibn Battuta would like to trade maps with us. I am into it, actually. We don't know where you are or what your deal is, and I would like to know information. So our scout is gonna spend a couple turns just chilling out here.
I definitely found the combat system in Civ 6 to be pretty underwhelming, and
this is very, very similar. Very, very
yeah,
similar.
it does seem to be. And like the thing where you can have basically like a battle or war going on for 100 years is a little it's a scope and scale problem, you know.
Yeah. So Aquila has gained population, and you can see the cost to convert it to a city has gone down. As it continues to grow, that's going to get cheaper and cheaper. I'm going to save gold for that. That's like the next thing I want to spend gold on. I want it to be a proper proper city. It does not seem to me like there's a lot of good reason to leave something a town, so I think the point is mostly to slow down like fast expanders. So like there's a rate at which you can grab territory, and there's a different rate at which you can have actual functional cities, you know? And then with the settlement limit, there is a limit to how much territory you can fast grab as well, because you start to suffer these massive happiness penalties. All right, we're just going to keep harassing the enemy warriors here. Wow. Hell yeah. These slingers are unstoppable. So your random combat units don't have XP, as far as I can tell. They do not themselves level up, but your command units get experience whenever combat units that are within their command aura deal damage or kill things. And then your command units have like these skill trees that they work up as they level up and stuff.
Do nothing which is of no use.
Okay, so we got access to some... first of all, our unique commander, which is fun. And we get a free army commander immediately, so that Slinger has somebody to hang out with. We can change our policies, but first... Machiavelli the Advisor is jocular and quick to smile, but his smiles are carefully crafted to ingratiate. Machiavelli the Ruler is as calculating as he can be brutal in pursuit of his goals. So we can take on a quest to become suzerain over an independent power and gain a bunch of influence immediately. We can take on a quest to disperse an independent power, or we can just say there may be other ways to rule, which for some reason gains us a bunch of happiness. We're already in the process of becoming suzerain over an independent power, so let's just go ahead and grab that. Now that we have discipline, we're headed for Code of Laws. Like I said, merchants, very valuable. So this is actually kind of a cool thing. Like I said, the combat system's mostly the same, but they have reintroduced the concept of allowing multiple units to exist in a stack, sort of. Your units can't fight when they're in a stack, but you can stack a couple units onto a commander and then move the commander around as like a box for the units, and you can see they even like use this pack things into the box, unpack them from the box visual metaphor on the buttons. And then like when you get to where you're going, you like pop open your commander and your guys run out in formation. And then the commanders have some like limited abilities, like you can have your commander do focus fire on somebody, and it makes all of the ranged units within the little command radius here fire at that target immediately with a little bit of a combat strength bonus. Just these little like logistics and coordination bonuses that I think are actually really rad, and I really like the especially the pack all your units up and move them together thing as a way of dramatically simplifying the really boring work of moving an army from place to place in the 1 unit per tile system. Plus, I think this animation is super funny. We're gonna assemble this army. There's like a literal just using his crazy vacuum powers. Your general gathers all the nearby units inside of himself and then walks them along.
All right.
I think that system is just 100% cool. Just a slam dunk.
That's an improvement for sure. I have my usual problems with scope and scale with all of this, but actually the guy just garbling them up and then presumably just pooping them out.
The more Civ admits that it's like silly bullshit, the better it is, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
And I really think it would benefit strongly from stopping trying to do the fake prestige history thing. Like,
yes. Absolutely.
Anyway, so we're over the hour, or a bit over the hour here. I did want to show
Yeah.
like we are basically nowhere on this on the trees just yet. We have 2 settlements. You have to get to 6 settlement points for the first of these. We're kind of making some progress here. We don't have a codex, but keep in mind whenever the first player trips one of these lines, it creates this extra burst of age progression. We're already 17% of the way through the age, so you can get a sense for like about how long this takes. And then the thing that happens when you jump into a new age, I think is really interesting. But like, I think probably we'll do like maybe one more video in this game of this age. You'll kind of get the idea, and then we'll probably like skip ahead instead of showing a full game of Civ here, since this is just kind of like about getting ideas or getting your reactions to the ideas and stuff.
Yeah.
How does that sound?
And yeah, that sounds great. Because if people want to see a full thing, you have a series you're running already.
That is absolutely true. It's right here on this here
Yeah.
channel that you're seeing this on.
This I guess. Wait, am I like a load bearing part of the Forex school?
Yeah, there's 2 people on it, and you're half of them.
What?
That's how that works.
I just thought you were being nice to me.
You're just the one sitting in front of the class. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for. Oh, hold on. One more thing I wanted to show you, the rankings page.
Okay, yeah, we got people now. What?
So you see how it doesn't like align the things, like everybody's bar starts wherever their name like. In my current game, this looks the game I'm playing solo on the channel. This looks really bad because I'm Xerxes the Archimeneid. Like, so my bar starts here, and Ibn Battuta's is back there. It's just like the way like things are not justified. There's there's stuff that doesn't have borders. There's like when we get a little bit more into combat, you'll see it becomes more of a problem. But like, look at the health bar. Look at how easy it is to lose that tiny little health bar on this unit.
It definitely feels clutched together a bit. Because let me tell you,
and it's crazy that zooming in doesn't help. In fact, if anything, it seems to make it a little smaller.
Yeah. 90% of my work ends up being like graphic design, and you can tell when I'm actually doing my job well when like I figured out what the longest name is I have to fit in there, and I fit everything around that. When things are kind of off skew, it's because I had to fix something at the last minute.
Yeah.
And like this is what it feels like, and that's not. I mean, you could even just like okay. Anyway,
that's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. When you come back next time, we're going to see a little bit more of the ancient era here in this one. Maybe a little bit of focused military play, and then off into the future we go. So come back next time for that, and we'll see you then.